What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome to another video. So if I was to teleport, time travel, back in time, I guess that's not technically teleporting, time travel, different thing. Science fiction nerds, you get it. But if I was to go back to when I was, say, 25 years old, and you were to wipe out my memories, all my skills, everything that I've acquired over the last 15 or so years, and all I could choose were three habits to give my younger self that would ensure or maximize the probability of future success. These are those three habits. But let me just get out of the way real quickly what most people will tell you on videos like this, and the same thing that I've told you on other videos like this. There's really these core foundational habits like get good sleep, exercise, um, you know, maintain your relationships, wake up early, like all those things that we already know. And so I'm not going to give you those habits. I'm going to assume that those are already just like the price of admission. You're going to figure those out. Like if you don't take care of your health, if you don't take care of your sleep, like everything else is going to be useless. If you don't make time for deep work sessions, like you know all this stuff. So let's just put those aside. And here are the three habits that I would give myself if I had to teleport back. Not teleport, time travel. First is story. Specifically, you have to understand that in life, like everything that's occurring to you is a story that your brain is creating. It's a narrative that your mind is trying to make sense of all the chaotic data that's coming into it, right? Like if you really look at objective reality, it's just energy fields, it's subatomic particles, it's light, and it's all being interpreted in a way by your brain that registers and allows you to move forward with the goal of procreating and passing on your lineage, right? Like that's what your biology wants to do. And the more that you can step out of this paradigm that there is an objective reality, that things are objectively happening, and instead realize that everything around you is an interpretation. Once you realize that, you take on this ability to frame everything in the most advantageous way possible that will help you rather than limit you. And for many people, they don't realize that their story is their ceiling, but also that they are the author of that story. And so they are simultaneously putting themselves into too tiny of a container, the stories that they tell themselves about what they're capable of doing, about why things are happening to them rather than for them, right? That's the container, and they're never going to outgrow that. And so the very first habit I would give my younger self is to always take everything happening to you and frame it in the form of a story that serves you rather than limits you. Anytime you point blame at somebody else or you rail against the universe for being unfair, like it's not like how could it go this way, blah blah blah, somebody broke my heart, they stabbed me in the back, like the market turned, like those are all stories that you're telling yourself, and they can either be these limiting stories or they can be empowering stories. So that's the very first thing that I would give my younger self, is the ability to interpret anything happening to them in their lives in the most favorable form of story possible. That's number one, story. Number two is state. So, one of those foundational habits a lot of people talk about, myself included on videos like this, is meditation. Meditation for me was actually incredibly valuable because as somebody with ADHD, finding the space to sit with my chaotic mind and to actually try to create constructs and structure for my mind was really, really helpful. And so I'm a big fan of meditation. But there comes a point in your meditation journey when you've accomplished that. And that's great. You've achieved mental clarity, you've achieved peace and poise or whatever, right? Like for the most part, like when you sit down to meditate, you've gotten over the initial discomfort of just sitting quietly with your mind. But there's a higher form of meditation that I would have taught myself earlier that I didn't understand, which is this form of positivity meditation or visualization, the ability to alter your physical state to be in alignment with the reality you hope to create for yourself. And so what I mean by that is, again, if like we were to zoom in, you would notice that the universe is really nothing more than like subatomic particles constructed in weird ways through energy fields, right? So it's all just energy. And at the end of the day, you attract the energy that you emit. And this is a bit of a catch-22, because if you're starting off from a low place, you're depressed, you're not where you want to be in life, then the energy that you're putting out into the universe, the thing that you're attracting, is more of that energy state. Not super helpful, right? So we have to find a way to change our energy state before our reality conforms, right? There's always like reality is a lag measure to the energy states that you're already operating within. And so the ability to alter your physical state to be where you want it to be operating at those higher energy states all the time, is a master habit. And so there's plenty of different techniques for this. Like Tony Robbins has a really great one, a priming exercise that he goes through that involves breath work along with moving your body. But it really comes down to, at this moment, you could either feel sad and depressed, right? Like if I change my body state and I just kind of like hunch over and I get small, like I can make myself feel small. I can make myself feel depressed and tired and sad. But if I make myself big, if I make myself expansive, if I start talking bigger, if I start using bigger gestures, right? I can make myself more energetic. And so you have the ability to change your state at a moment's notice. And that's a habit that took me a really long time to figure out. And so whenever I go into, say, a meeting or anything, really, I'm asking myself, what's the energy state that would allow me to show up at the best of my ability for this thing? Because it's not always like show up to this meeting going at 100 out of 100, right? Like sometimes you need to be a little bit more pulled back, a little bit more measured. But pairing the right energy state with what you are doing in that moment is a master skill. It's a master habit. And so that's a second habit that I would give my younger self. The third one, well, the first one is story. Second one is state. The third one is serve. When I was in my 20s, I was way too focused on myself. And this makes sense. Like when you're young, you really need to take care of yourself first. Put the oxygen mask on before you can go out into the world and help others. And you have big ambitions to make an impact on the world. You just don't have the skills, the resources, the network to actually go do it. And so you're in this weird position where you want to get outside of yourself, you want to go and help and like do stuff, but you feel kind of constrained by the reality of your capacities, right? And so what can happen is, as you're trying to go out and get your bag, you can become very insular. You can be very inward focused on self-improvement, self-mastery, all that stuff. And that's good stuff. But one of the things that you'll start to learn is that fulfillment really occurs most often when it's in service of other people, when other people are involved, when it's relationships that you're having. And so one of the ideas that I would install into my younger self, one of the habits, is every morning get in the habit of asking yourself, who is somebody that I can serve today? And try to get really clear and really like specific about that. Is that your brother? I'm going to call him, I'm going to give him support and tell him I think he's doing a great job. That can be a form of service, right? When I get onto a podcast like this, before I do this, I put in my mind somebody who has reached out, who has left a comment, who I've worked with in the past, somebody who I know needs to hear this message, because it might be the thing that they needed on this morning to go forward in their life and do something tremendous, right? So I have somebody I'm trying to serve in my mind right now with this video. And the more that you can connect everything that you do in your life with somebody else, with serving others, the more fulfillment, more enjoyment, and the more impact you're ultimately going to have in your life. And so the question is, who needs me to be at my best right now? Put that person at the forefront of your mind. Take these 3 habits. Show up every day with story, with state, and with service. And your 25-year-old self is going to be all but guaranteed to find success in life. So that'll do it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.